For those of you that don't know, I'm the president of the Lancaster Debating Union. I'd just like to welcome you all to our first ever public debate with external speakers. Before the debate, thank you to all the speakers here for actually being here tonight and for travelling from quite a long way. So a round of applause for the speakers. A brief presentation explaining what the union does, and then we're going to go through the format of the debate, and then finally we'll go through a couple of other things. Yes, let's go for this first. So Lancaster Debating Union, hopefully you all know that already. Basically, we hold lots of events throughout the course of the term. This is the Monday night debate. At the end of the day, we have external speakers or collaboration with other societies, or just ourselves, chatting about different issues, whether that be feminism or human rights or capitalism or other sort of policy issues. So please come along and watch those if you're interested. Second of all, we do a program of training. So our trainer is right behind you. He's a very good speaker. Basically, he'll train you how to speak in public in front of large audiences, how to present your case in the eloquent manner, which I'm sure all four speakers will present tonight, hopefully. And then we do two training sessions, as you can see, one shortly before here in the Frampton Colloquium, which is the building, which is the room that's across from there, and another one in County Main, which is the horrible 1960s square building. Okay, if you want to know about future public debates or anything I've just spoken about, please join us by adding Lancaster Debating as a friend, which we can invite you to our events more easily rather than sort of fish around the whole of Facebook. Or you can tweet us at Lancaster Debating. And then finally, we're pleased to announce that we've got a new website which has been completely revamped at lancasterdebatingunion.com. Please go visit that. Lots of information regarding everything we do, from our history to what we do in local schools, for example, to our public debates online like this. Next week's event is going to be a question time collaboration between political parties on campus, featuring speakers from respective youth wings of political parties. So that should be quite good. It's at the same, it's about 6 or 7 o'clock, and this lecture is please come along to that as well. Okay, this week's motion, just to give a bit of definition of what we're actually arguing about, given how definitional squabbles don't make very good debates. It's an economic system in which the means of production and its distribution are privately or corporately owned, and the development is proportionate to the accumulation and reinvestment of profits gained in a free market. That's what we're looking at tonight, rather than sort of some definitional squabble about what exactly a free market is. Finally, once again, we have our speakers here tonight, some very good speakers who've done many public debates in their time. Hopefully, they will give you all a good time this evening. Finally, to run through the format. To run through the format of the debate today, we're going to have a speech from the proposition, then from the opposition, then from the proposition, then from the opposition. 7 minutes each. There should be no interruptions during these speeches. We'll then have a question and answer session whereby you'll be free to ask any question you like to the proposition or opposition, or to both. I'll be sharing that. After the questions have been launched, we'll have a summation. We have summation speeches from 2 of the speakers on each side, about 3 minutes in length. And then finally, they'll all shake hands and we can go off to the county bar to discuss issues ourselves. In terms of the actual questions themselves, keep them relatively short. Only one question every single time you're allowed to speak. We don't particularly want an elongated one. There are lots of people here which have got very interesting queries to ask. Finally, in terms of actual etiquette, lots of these sort of debates are interrupted by heckling. It doesn't really help anyone. It wastes time for the speakers here who've travelled here tonight. It wastes time of most people in this lecture theatre. If you wish to ask a question, you are completely free to do so. So please wait for that section to come along. And once again, you're allowed to ask multiple questions if we have time to do so. Yes, and finally, no ad hominem attacks. So attack their arguments, but none of these people here are terrible people. They're all quite nice people with different views. Hopefully, we can all respect that. So without further ado, I'm going to move to the front. And I welcome the first speaker from the proposition who propped this motion that this House believes that capitalism has failed.
Hello, I'm James Sturley. I'm directly arguing Capitalism has failed. I've planned a debating union for inviting me up here to speak. So, has it failed? Well, we obviously haven't failed absolutely. We're all here in this nice lecture theatre. There is electric lighting. I assume most people have eaten at some point today. So, capitalism obviously achieves some things. It hasn't completely, even though it's not received trouble, it hasn't completely failed in that absolute sense. But I want to argue that capitalism makes a very good sales pitch for itself. It promises a lot to us, to the general population, and it generally fails to deliver on these promises. promises us, first of all, freedom. That's been the rallying cry for hundreds and hundreds of years. More recently, relatively speaking, it's promising us democracy, and being the basis for a sound democratic structure in a society. I think this is wrong-headed. Firstly, the freedom that we are offered is simply the freedom to be this very strange sort of person, this agent who can buy and sell. And if you don't have any things particularly to buy and sell, you have yourself. You have the power of your body and the power of your brain. And most of us, if we are lucky in this time of enormous mass unemployment, we will get to sell ourselves bit by bit to people who will profit on the basis of our doing so. This is very peculiar model of freedom. And in fact, it's often contradictory with democracy. I mean, if you look at the Italian elections last week, it's very clear from reading the press reports. The Italians have had like the Greeks before them, have had the temerity to vote the wrong way. They voted for Silvio Berlusconi and Beppe Grillo in more greater numbers than the people who would be sensible administrators and impose the austerity measures. Now, I'm not a fan of Silvio Berlusconi and Beppe Grillo. One's a clownish demagogue and the other's Silvio Berlusconi. But nevertheless, they're going to have to go back to the polls, and hopefully this time they'll get the right answer. This is even more so, you end up with tyrannical regimes like Saudi Arabia. Why does Saudi Arabia exist in the form that it does? Because it's propped up. It's propped up because it's in the interest of international oil companies, international arms companies, who involved in lots of very dubious deals with the Saudi monarchy, and also simply as defence of the dominant capitalist powers in the world against originally communism and now problems in the Arab world, etc. Capitalism promises us prosperity. It promises us that as they say, the rising tide lifts all boats. This is, if you look at this on a global scale, it's just transparently false. I mean, Africa is the well-known obvious example. The stain on the conscience of the world is as comrade Tony Blair put it many years ago. Millions of people die every year. The figure 6 million is a very poetic number given that in the 20th century die of starvation, preventable diseases. In a world where medicines exist to cure all these things, where enough food exists to food everyone. So these people are not rising with the tides. It's often argued that this isn't because the regimes are corrupt, but frankly, who's paying the bribes? It's not poor peasants in the middle of Nigeria, let's be honest. It also promises us meritocracy, the best people will rise to the top. I will leave it to you to decide whether Donald Trump is your model for the cream of humanity, as he bulldozes half of Scotland towards the golf course. It also promises that it's very efficient, and it's the most efficient way to distribute services and goods. I mean, this should be look at the world today. It's just an efficient system where a series of dodgy mortgage deals in America inevitably go bankrupt and take down, frankly, the entire financial system. It's a rational system which can cater to itself, when in order to stop this happening, the state has to put in $1 trillion of bailout funds in America alone. What you end up with response to this is utterly irrational policies. Austerity is increasing the national debt in this country, and it's exactly what you'd expect to happen. You don't have to read Marx to understand that, just read Keynes. And in opposition to that, we end up with irrational opposition. The Tea Party in America, where we have people who imagine that Barack Obama is a communist, which frankly is offensive. More to the point, in the long-term interest, we have the problem of the environment, massive environmental degradation that's happening. Capitalism is based on perpetual growth. If you're not growing, then you're in trouble. And there's all sorts of weird little schemes, carbon credits and so forth. Carbon credits are basically the same derivatives that crashed 5 years ago and haven't come back. There's the final and possibly the most important promise that capitalism makes is the Churchill promise, you could call it. It's the worst imaginable economic system except for all the others. It may not deliver perfect freedom to everyone, but it delivers more freedom than the alternatives. It may not deliver prosperity to everyone, lives more certainly authoritative, and so on. I would argue this is old. This is imagining that that basically is founded on the idea that the Soviet Union was a disaster, which it was, and I'm not good here arguing for setting up a state of that kind. But I would argue that a socialist society worthy of this name would have a much, much better, more human sense of freedom, both individual freedom and collective freedom. The freedom to enrich yourself with all the world's culture, not to simply sell yourself piece by piece every day. That isn't free. Freedom is for full development. I would argue that it would basically to that is an idea of a meritocracy. I don't buy that, but I think collective endeavours would enable us to unleash the full creative power of humanity. And frankly, there's no rational democratic planning of society is the only way that we could deal with things like the environmental crisis, and also meet all human needs as and how they arise, including all sorts of bizarre little whims. The best argument for this, I'm going to finish on this. The best argument for this is that what we do have of all these things, we have the right to vote, we have the NHS that Jeremy Hunt's busily destroying. We have all these things because masses of people fought for them. We took them. And being a Marxist, being a revolutionary socialist is ultimately no more than saying that we can finish the job if we get ourselves organised, if we get everyone inside, we can go through to the end and stop this endless guerrilla struggle with people who want to impoverish us and enslave us. Thank you very much.
For his speech, and now I'd like the first member of the opposition to open their case.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I've got my own free enterprise alternative here. It won't take me that amount of time to put these arguments out of their misery, which is just as well. Because many years ago, I promised myself that I would never speak in public any longer than I could make love in private. So in conclusion, let me just say this is a very odd motion, because it is not capitalism that has failed. It is the other things. It is government that has failed. It is certainly regulation that's failed. It's certainly cronyism that's failed. It's bailouts have failed. All these things have failed. I don't know that capitalism ever promises people freedom and all of the other things that you say it promises. On the contrary, it needs those things. Unless you have a free society, you do not have a capitalist society. Capitalism cannot flourish. It depends on voluntary transactions between human beings, rather than